Welcome to episode 54 of the Champagne Comedy Podcast, where we talk about the best Australian comedy show from the 90s ever made, Frontline, and other D-Generation comedy tidbits. My name is Matt, and joining on this podcast today is Alison, Daniel, and Kim.
Hi.
Hold on, give me a moment.
Long time no see, everyone.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
It is good to be back.
No, it's great. It's like an old pair of underwear that you put back on. I'm sorry.
Oh, dear.
Thanks.
You were trying
for
to
that.
think of something clean to say and just, no.
It's a clean old
They were
pair
clean,
of underwear,
yeah.
I assume.
Yeah.
Or a washed pair of underwear, okay? Fine. Yes. It's like that we're one big family. Oh. Yeah, jeez.
Foreshadowing.
Very. Oh, well, thank you if you're listening to us again. If you stay subscribed, it has been a while since, and I hope you finally listened to the bonus episode that we did over the break. Now we're back and we're going to finish off season 2. Or I should say, let's start on season 2 of Frontline. But until then, we have a little bit of paperwork to do, I believe. At the time of this recording, which was early February 2024, thank God you're here. Have you been paying attention? And the cheap seats are returning to TV.
Thank God they're returning. And usually the topical series usually return around about May, but nothing has been confirmed as yet.
No, but those 3 shows have been confirmed. We don't know what's happening with Utopia, if it needs another season, because you can't really tell.
It was okay, but yeah.
They've done 5.
It's just too much like reality these days. It's only so much you can lampoon when it comes to government.
Also, a big cheerio to a listener, gentleman named Lawson, who has decided to be very charitable and donate $5 to our Buy Me a Coffee account. So that's it.
Yeah, that'll get you a coffee
right.
in Sydney, a small
Yes.
coffee, but still a coffee.
Very tiny coffee.
buymeacoffee.com/TLS Champagne Pod. If you think we're worthy of a espresso or something like that, yep, then by all means.
Not pod coffee. It's coffee for the pod.
Podcast, yes. Also, I'm sure that there's something else that's happening out there. Does anyone have anything to report?
Yeah, I spotted something. There's a new series on Stan called Prosper. I think it's on Stan. And it stars Richard Roxburgh. And it's about an evangelical priest. I think it's very much based on Hillsong. But one of the producers is Jason Stevens.
Friend of the podcast.
Yeah, he's getting into prestige drama now. I haven't seen it. I'm sure it's very good. Anyway, on Stan, or you can probably get it elsewhere if you know where to look, I imagine.
Which is also where you can watch episodes of Frontline. So, two good reasons to join up.
All right, let's get into it, shall we?
Oh, Jesus!
It's Daniel G and his program guide.
Last Frontline episode, I talked about what the ABC played once Frontline had come off the air. And this is basically a continuation. I talked about 1994 last episode, and now we're into the new era of 1995.
Yay.
I'll start with the ABC 8 o'clock Monday slot. After what seemed like week upon interminable week of As Time Goes By, there's just 2 more weeks left of it before we move on to another British series. Does the name Gary Sparrow mean anything to anyone?
Oh, yes. Yes. It's that one set in the 40s, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called Goodnight Sweetheart.
That's
clip
the one. Yeah.
Good night, sweetheart.
So yeah, a British comedy series about a modern-day TV repairman, played by Nicholas Lyndhurst, who finds himself transported back to the 1940s and can actually go between wartime 1940s and present-day early 90s. Then after that, around about late April, we get a 7-part Australian comedy series about a new police team formed to combat growing crime. You might know it very well, but let's hear the thing.
In an attempt to crack down on crime, the police department has created an elite new team. A team that speaks the language of the streets. Young, hip, in touch with the now generation. Funky Squad.
Excellent theme, isn't it?
It is brilliant.
So, yes, another working dog production that they seem to make between seasons 1 and 2 of Frontline. A parody of 70s cop shows starring Tim Ferguson as Blair Steele as Grant, Jane Kennedy as Verity Svensson Hart as Cassie, Santo Chilaro as Joey Alvarez as Styx, and Tom Gleisner as Harvey Zadalka Jr. as Poncho, receiving far fewer lines than he did as his appearance as Colin Conacher.
Also, just to point out that we will be covering Funky Squad on the Champagne Comedy podcast. So just want to put that in there. But I do have to get approval from everyone else on the team. So Alison, Kim, Daniel, are you good for
Approved.
that? Yeah, all right, done.
Yeah.
Tough luck.
No, look, we've got a very long list, and thankfully, Funky Squad is higher up on the list of priorities than, say, Pacific Heat or Pictures of You or Audrey, what's her name, doing the cooking.
Audrey Gordon.
That's the one. We've got a long list. This podcast will never die.
Just in case we never get round to doing a Goodnight Sweetheart podcast, can I just point out that this sort of light-hearted hilarity of him going between the 1940s and the 1990s involves quite a lot of bigamy, more bigamy than you would expect in any other sitcom. So anyway, go grab it from your local, I don't know, cash converters or whatever, and check out the bigamy.
In the videos related to bigamy sections, probably quite a few.
That's the one. Yep.
All right, so after 7 episodes of Funky Squad, now why 7 episodes? Basically because the series that appears after it is only 6 episodes long. The Vicar of Dibley. Now, I believe we've got a bit of Vicar of Dibley to play for you now.
Rock and roll music is all very well, but what do you think the new vicar is going to say?
But Lord Carstairs, I am the new vicar.
But this is preposterous. You're... I say, madam, what are you doing here? If the new vicar finds you, there'll be hell to pay. I hate to tell you this, Mayor Hacknell Spiffington, but this is the new vicar. Good Lord! I say, what's all this infernal racket? I don't know, Lady Wisby Trent Spompington Beaufort. Perhaps you should ask the new vicar. What the?
I'm sorry, is there a problem?
There certainly is. You're a woman.
What? I am? I was wondering what these were.
Pardon?
All right, so that's not actually the Vicar of Dibley. That's Martin Molloy from the Poop Shoot album, I think. Yeah, I mean, apart from all of the tea spitting, that's pretty much that first episode. Everybody going, but she's a woman. Incidentally, that little bit of theme music at the end of the Martin Molloy sketch is called Soap Suds.
Ah,
Cool.
So did you have to Shazam that, or did you already know that?
he knew it. He's known it for
To
years.
be fair, it came up in the YouTube content ID looking for the Martin Molloy sketch. So that's the 8 o'clock Monday slot up until we get to Frontline. Some fairly safe material, save for maybe the bigamy in Goodnight Sweetheart. The 9:30 Monday slot, however, there's a fair bit more edgy, unknown fare, I would say. At the end of 1994, we had season 1 of Sean's Show, starring Sean Hughes. Basically, series 2 follows on to kick off 1995. If you want to see any of it, it's all available on YouTube. After that, I don't know whether you would call this a cult series, but certainly it's a series that stars 2 of the young ones. Anyone know what that one is?
Filthy Rich and Cat Flap.
What, from the 90s?
Oh, from the 90s.
That's 3 of the young ones. Bottom.
Yes, it is Bottom. The theme's just about as ramshackle as the series, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
We get season 2 of that, although, mind you, it's in a kind of a weird order. They start with episode 5, Holy, which is their Christmas episode. Then episode 6, then back round to season 3, which is another 6 episodes. Then there's a couple of episodes of Murder Most Horrid to kind of fill in the gaps. That's the self-contained black comedy anthology starring Dawn French. Then, starting around May, we have 13 episodes of a show called McFeast.
Ooh.
Now, the only thing in the program guide that it said week after bloody week was Elle McFeast takes a light-hearted look at politics in her series. This 1995 series shouldn't be confused with the 1998 series, McFeast Live. Best known for the infamous first episode, Mark Chopper Reed was the inebriated guest. It was much talked about. What is some really good viewing is there's an episode of Australian Story about Libby Gore, who plays Elle McFeast, talking about that McFeast Live episode.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. But the 95 McFeast, that was all pre-recorded stuff, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was subtitled From the Bowels of Parliament House.
Uh-huh.
So very different stuff altogether.
There are some clips of that in the Australian Story, the 95 series, I think, because
Right.
you see her in that Australian Story sort of interviewing different politicians of the era, or attempting to anyway.
Okay, so now that we're into 1995, there's a couple of new things on the TV landscape. The first one that we have is the emergence of community broadcasting. So it had kind of started a bit in late 1994, but by the time 1995 rolls around, we finally have Channel 31 listed in the Green Guide. It's a very short schedule. I don't know what they did during daylight hours, but basically I've got from 7 p.m. till late. You can probably guess what the programs are just from here. So at 7 o'clock, we've got TAFE TV, 8 o'clock Access News, 8:30 Twinging Hammies. Obviously footy/sport, I'd say. 9 o'clock Bento-Rama. 9:30, a program called In Between the Sprockets. So I'd say film for that.
Bento-Rama sounds like it's about 2 hours worth of someone on camera just eating a bento box.
I suspect, sadly, that it may just have been some kind of LGBT plus thing rather than, or maybe it was LGBT plus people eating Japanese food. Who knows? I'd watch it either way.
I'm guessing Bento-Rama might have been the new stuff because at 10 o'clock we had Classically Bent.
Oh.
And then, yeah.
Well, this was LGBT people in togas, I assume.
It's shot in black and white.
To be fair, Bento-Rama and Classically Bent, at least they're like 2 more programs than what a commercial TV would have offered for their communities. So
that is very true. Yes.
And then the night finishes at 10:30 with VSF Soccer.
What a lineup.
Yeah. If you had to learn something about your community, yeah, you could tune into Access News rather than Frontline. Might have had the same production values, I don't know.
Interesting.
Now, the other thing which emerged in 1995 was, well, you'll hear in clip number 5, it's the dawn of a new TV revolution.
Galaxy multi-channel pay TV is here, and television will never be the same again. Galaxy will open up a whole new world of entertainment for you and your family. And it's not just one channel. For the price of hiring 2 videos a week, or less than $2 a day, you get not 1 channel, but 8 new 24-hour Galaxy channels, all at the end of your remote control. Galaxy multi-channel pay TV will change the way you watch television forever.
Gee, hyperbole much?
Wow.
Did any of you or your families get into the early days of pay TV?
Yeah, my parents certainly did. Yeah, they had Galaxy in the late 90s, and they've had Foxtel for many years, still paying $100 a month for it, something ridiculous. So, yeah. But Channel V was Red before, wasn't it? Channel Red for music videos.
Channel Red, yeah.
I remember watching that. I had it for some reason. I had a key ring that had Channel Red on it. I don't know how I came across that.
We got Foxtel for like a month. And the reason we got it for a month is that they had this deal where they'd install the cable in your house for free, and then you'd get the TV for a month, and then you had to pay after that. And my dad's like, oh, we better get the cable in, but I don't want to pay for it. So we had it for a whole month. And he was like, oh, this is terrible. Everything's just repeats, because there were all these channels that were like repeating just like loads of American sitcoms from the 70s or whatever. And to be fair, it was kind of accurate. There really wasn't a lot of original programming at that time, and probably there still isn't. It was just a lot of repeats, as my dad said. Write in if your dad had exactly the same opinion as mine in 1995. I bet he did.
Yeah.
I bet he loved TV today.
Well, yeah.
So far fewer repeats these days. Oh, my God.
My dad's approach to television these days is basically to watch Vera quite a lot, and they are all repeats. And all the other like British detective series, just endlessly.
By the end of 1995, they would be joined by Optus Vision and Foxtel. Okay, let's push on to what was up against season 2, episode 1 of Frontline. So yeah, I'll start with ABC. The Green Guide lists the new episode of Frontline as One Big Happy Family. Then we have Four Corners at 8:30, Media Watch at 9:15, and the final episode of McFeast at 9:30. Over on SBS, we have a British documentary titled Defenders of the Wild. The listing says that it's about a group of international nature activists who have conducted a long campaign to save honey buzzards, hawks, kestrels, and other birds of prey from being slaughtered by poachers in Calabria and Sicily.
Good stuff.
I know, there's not really much you can comment on about that, really. Unless anybody's pro poaching.
Yeah, screw them.
The kestrel has had it too good for too long.
Well, absolutely.
Over on Channel 7, we've got at 7:30, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman.
Guilty as charged. I used to watch that on a religious basis.
All right, so you might recognise this episode then. Season 2, Episode 19, titled Target Jimmy Olsen. So in this episode, Jimmy Olsen becomes a deadly threat to everyone around him when a mind-controlling virus is activated in his body. Lois and Clark risk their lives to save him. Again, before its time much? I'm surprised there wasn't anything to do with nanobots. All right, then we've got Channel 10, and it's Healthy, Wealthy and Wise time. So, according to the listing, Jim discovers a country town in New South Wales where the art treasures hang on the pub walls.
Ooh, delightful.
Whoa.
Find out how to make a footstool out of a fruit box.
Wow, turn it upside down. Ta-da!
And by the way, that's a box for putting fruit in. That's not what would be called a juice box nowadays.
Good to know.
Again, although in my opinion, I think just about anything could be turned into a footstool if you think about it. Lynn explains lactose intolerance. At least it's not bloody osteoporosis again. We get to look at one of the newest small cars on the market and find out how much you need for retirement. Spoiler alert, a fucking lot.
But it was the 90s. You needed about $5.
No, the interest rates are really high, don't you remember? Let's not talk about that.
They've gone down again by the mid-90s. They're down again.
Now, last of all, I'm leaving Channel 9 till last because I think if you weren't watching Frontline, I think this is what you would be watching. So at 7 o'clock, we had yet another episode of Sale of the Century, but at 7:30, we had Sale of the Century, the 15th anniversary special.
Wow.
And the reason why I bring it up is because it had a couple of appearances to do with the D generation.
Oh.
Now, first of all, they replayed the classic sketch from The Late Show where Jane is a contestant on a Celebrity Edition. with Mick and Jace and Tony Barber trying to help her through a hidden earpiece. The other thing DGen related in the Sale of the Century 15th Anniversary special is an appearance from Mike Moore.
Hi, Mike Moore from Frontline. Well, Sale of the Century, 15 years old, what can you say? It's like a religion to us. We watch it every night. I just want to wish Tony Barber good luck and well done, Victoria. Glenn who? Nikki? Oh, sorry, Elise. Not Victoria, Elise. Good on you, Elise. What's Glenn? Glenn who? I can watch it. It's on another network. Well, if they put me in the Fame game, maybe I will. But I mean, it's just...
It won't be the last time that we hear about Sale of the Century from Working Dog, because it does serve as a bit of a plot point further along in Season 2. The only other thing I just want to highlight from the Sale of the Century special, and I don't know how much you want to play of this, but we could almost call this a game about how long can you last listening to this.
And we'll leave you with a bit of fun we cooked up. It's known as the Sale of the Century rap. Who am I?
Okay, off. Done.
Glenn Rich, the end.
And I think after that, the episode can only go up from here, so let's get into it.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniel, for your very extensive program guide.
Yeah, definitely brought back some memories.
Absolutely.
We'll move on from there. So who wants to do the intro for the episode? Anyone? Bueller?
I think you should do it since it's the first episode.
All right, I'll do it.
We're all too shy.
We're all dusty. We're all rusty. So, yeah. Sounds good. All right. Three, two, cue in. I've forgotten what I had to say. It has been so long. Hi, I'm Matt. This is the Champagne Comedy Podcast. We're reviewing Frontline Season 2, Episode 1, One Big Family, broadcast Monday, July 24, 1995. Don't clap. That was...
The only note I've got from that is that I kind of wish you would have said it a bit like Domenica constantly does on the phone. One big family!
Yeah.
One big family!
I'll do that next time. So the synopsis of this episode is the ratings are down and heads may roll at the Frontline office, but nothing gets in the way of the network promo. And it's quality too. This is actually a really good episode to come back with, especially with real life events that have happened, such as the sad loss of Season 1 executive producer of Frontline, that is, but actor Bruno Lawrence, who, which he sadly had passed away not long before they were actually going to record this season. So they had to go back to the drawing board and work out how to get this show going. So, because he was going to come back.
It's a very plausible way that they get into the change of executive producers, really, because, I would say that, it's very plausible to suddenly get boned, I think the term might be, from your network.
Friend of the Champagne Comedy Podcast, that is Boris Connolly, who plays the Friday night funny man Elliot Rhodes. This is what he had to say when we caught up with him to chat in regards to Bruno Lawrence and working with him.
I met the first day of shooting for my spot in the first episode. Bruno was in the waiting room where we were just waiting before we went to makeup. And I met him for the very first time. I didn't know who he was, had no idea that he was playing one of the major roles. He was such a humble guy, and he just said, we talked about playing golf and music, I think. Had this little conversation, and I thought, I'll never see that guy again. And then, of course, the first episode came to air, and he was playing such a great role. I mean, and so well, so beautiful, so earthy his acting. Anyway, we did sort of bump into each other a bit during that series, and at the final wrap party, I didn't even know he was ill or that there were any health issues going on. He always presented really fantastically. He always looked super well. Anyway, the last thing, we had a conversation, and as I was leaving, he gave me a great big kiss on the lips, which is very memorable. And that's a very memorable thing about Bruno.
It's a nice little memory. We are introduced to the very sombre Frontline office, unsure what's going on. As you mentioned, Daniel, that, the term boned, possibly, of some staff. But Marty ends up breaking the silence, reading the paper about the financial issues the network has been facing with the ailing ratings for Frontline especially. And that's just a word that Mike could not wrap his head around. Ailing.
He's flummoxed. Yeah, I will admit that first scene has two of my favourite lines of the episode. The one you alluded to, Matt, about ailing. Well, that's ailing.
Yeah.
And then, second of all, talking about the big network promo they've got planned, and about when do we shoot it? When we know who's still in the family.
Yeah.
I thought, the main reason why that there was really somber was that Brian had been fired, but I thought it was because of the loss of this guy. The photocopier had been fixed, Colin Conacher.
It is a huge loss to the office and the whole network, I imagine, because I just imagine Conacher just going from office to office, just fixing the photocopier in each place.
Yeah, I mean,
he probably.
I know 1995 was probably the advent of the internet. I know I started uni then, and we had internet, but photocopiers were still quite a big thing. So I would have expected an office like that seemed quite old school to still be working that photocopier, but no. Where is he?
Meanwhile, Marty asks Shelley to get the personal documents off Brian's computer, which
1.44 megabytes, I think, was the capacity of those floppy disks.
And it really was a floppy disk as well.
Brian is in the management office off screen, and Dom's one big family.
Did you get the personal stuff off his computer?
Frontline, one big family.
That is driving me insane. You should see the promo they've got planned.
She's been told, you have to say this. And it's interesting hearing it. It does crop up sporadically throughout the episode. So, and just sort of keep an eye out as to what that phrase, one big family, punctuates every single time in the episode, because it's usually something which belies that catchphrase.
It's used very well, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mr. Cavill drops by the office to give him the good news and the bad news, and that is Frontline is continuing and Brian has been fired. So which is the good news then? No?
Good news, bad news.
You all get to keep your jobs. Hooray.
Yay. And obviously he ends up taking Brian's computer. It gets confiscated. If there's any important documents, if that's everything covered. But Emma has been placed as interim executive producer, while Mike is being pulled aside for a chat with Mr. Cavill himself.
We haven't been satisfied of late with the direction the program's been taking. But we've fixed that. And I want you to know you've got those networks 100% support.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Cavill.
So carry on with the good work.
Thank you.
And Neil Mercer said no.
Everyone on the list said no.
So here's a little dovetail for you. 1995.
Yeah, who is Neil Mercer?
Well, Neil Mercer is a reporter, so journalist reporter. But Neil Mercer... actually, you wouldn't have had Neil Mercer in South Australia. Neil Mercer was the host of Today Tonight, which launched in 1995.
From the ashes of real life.
Now we've got a cut line here. If people are following along with the Frontline book, Frontline, the story behind the story behind the stories. So the end of scene 1, where Mr. Cavill invites Mike to come and talk upstairs, and as Mike leaves the office with Mr. Cavill, Marty said, "Shall we get Mike's files off his computer? I mean, there could be some important games there." And that's cut. And then we go into the scene where they talk about Neil Mercer, who I had also never heard of. So thanks for telling me who he was.
So it went Neil Mercer on Today Tonight, then when he left, it was Helen Wellings.
Off of The Investigators.
Yeah, I've met her a few times in my day job. She was, I don't know if she still does the kind of consumer affairs stuff for Channel 7. Is it Channel 7?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, very professional lady, perfectionist, but very, very good at what she does.
Can I also mention something here about Mike's hair? Because I think his hair looks different in this episode. I notice he's got a particularly interesting side part, which seems to be slightly off-centre. And I'm sort of wondering whether maybe they're going to make a bit more of kind of parodying the Ray Martin haircut in this series.
Well, not just that. It's parted on his left-hand side when it's usually parted on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? It looks really odd and quite funny. Like, I don't know.
Apart from the fact that it's actually a wig.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just makes it look even more ridiculous and funny.
Maybe, yeah, changed his hairspray as well.
He's got a new hairstylist. Maybe he can't afford Joe Bailey anymore or something. That's the hairdresser Joe Bailey, not the Sale of the Century host Joe Bailey.
Back in the office, Kate tries to organise a team dinner to farewell Brian, yet no one can attend.
Yeah, it's sort of, there was also a bit of non-committalism in the first scene as well, which, again, it sort of might speak to, well, the fact that they can't get the actor who played Brian at all whatsoever. Because, yeah, there was talk about an office mutiny, which is very quickly, couched in, let's just wait and see first.
So as the show goes into planning mode with Emma, Mike chimes in to get his to give his useless 2 cents, then passes the baton back to Emma. This is where I really enjoy Emma's work. Like, she's just on fire throughout the whole, like a really powerful character.
Yeah, she's really ready to take over, steps up, isn't she? Yeah. So
as Marty and Jack and Stu head to their story, Marty says that Brian will get the golden handshake and the network will treat him very well, just as Brian's nameplate from the car park comes off the wall.
Yep, golden kick up the arse, as Stu puts it.
Shelley discovers there's something surprising on the floppy disk that she obtained from Brian's computer as Mike tries to make a joke on Emma, who is in charge, and places a "Who's the Boss" coffee mug on the desk, but Dom doesn't get it.
And no one really notices it at all because they're too busy doing work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jan is with Emma discussing the new One Big Family promo.
I thought the concept was all our celebrities getting together.
We prefer to call them on-air personalities, dear.
I thought the idea was they were all sort of doing high fives together. Don't they have to be in the same studio?
We're shooting it in a way that no one need be within a 5-kilometre radius of each other.
Why?
This is television, darling. Everybody hates everybody else. That's why we spend so much time promoting how well we all get on. One big family, darling.
How about those big A4 diaries, eh?
Oh, man. I mean, it's either that or, the one where it's like the diary and it's like in a kind of leather cover and there's like a slot to put your pen in and then there's bits to put your business cards in and a calculator. Whatever those diaries were called. Remember them?
Yeah, they were kind of like Filofax, but I remember going to a course.
Yeah, Filofax.
Yeah, there was one called Priority Manager, and I had to do a course in the late 90s in my first job, and it cost about $500, I remember, at the time. Wow. And it was a whole day course where you just learn how to use a diary. And I just remember it's just like, put the events down the bottom here and then you'll see them. And that's all I remember. It's kind of like...
And this is a Post-it note.
This is a Post-it note and this is a place for your pen. Yeah. And you got a free diary out of that. But yeah, it was Filofax. But I know they use a...
free diary with a $500
exactly.
course.
The giant diary, they use that in the cheap seats when they have to figure out where Tim's schedule and where he has to go. They have one of those in the cheap seats now. So there are still a few being sold, evidently.
Well, I mean, thankfully, I haven't thrown out my diary. I pretty much only use it for scheduling when we have to record this podcast.
I mean, you've got a lot of notes to take.
Well, yeah, I wait for the confirmation letter with the link to go to the place to record it. And
hey, I got a moleskin in my wardrobe, which I've been meaning to write journals in, and last one I wrote was in February 2023.
Oh, wow.
So I only had filled out about 5 pages worth.
Well, you could do another 5 pages because it's February 2024.
Thank you.
And then every year in February,
it's the
you write a few pages.
Yeah.
February diary.
I was in.
Yeah.
February journal, Larry.
Now, Brooke doesn't want to do the high five on the One Big Family promo with the weatherman.
Oh, hang on. In the book, we've got a cut scene. We've got a whole scene that's cut.
Please, the floor is yours.
Who's got the book? Well, we can do a reading because there's multiple characters. And
I'll just watch. I don't have the book.
Okay, so we need a Marty, and you could do the stage directions.
What
Kim,
scene is
like.
this?
This is scene 7.
Scene 7,
page
okay.
156.
Page 156, scene 7. Okay, so there's Marty and Stu. Oh, it's just Marty and Stu.
Yeah, and we need someone to do stage directions as well. I can do stage directions if you want. Who's going to be Marty?
Who am I?
You're Marty. And
sure.
Matt can be Stu.
Okay.
You ready?
All right.
Okay. Scene 7, an office block. Marty, Stu and Jace wait outside an office block. Marty smokes.
So who's going to take over?
Who'd want the job? All that pressure.
All that money. Car, house payments, travel.
And if the show doesn't rate?
Stu makes a throat-cutting gesture. Marty takes a drag on his cigarette.
Hey, I could sue you for passive smoking, you know.
Not if.
A lawyer emerges from the building.
Action.
As Stu and Jace grab their camera gear, the lawyer spots them and bolts off up the street.
Let's go.
The 3 boys give chase, but Marty quickly falls behind and becomes breathless. He tries shouting his questions.
Mr. Scarletti, we just want to ask you a few questions about your client's trust fund. Mr.
Marty gets completely out of breath as Stu and Jace move on ahead of him. They stop and look back as Marty wheezes hopelessly. The lawyer escapes.
And scene.
That's the cutscene. It's not super exciting.
Yeah.
However,
thank you.
It does set up later for this story that they're shooting about this dodgy lawyer, and that you get a bit more about their speculation around who's replacing Brian.
Thank you for pointing that out. I totally did not refer to the book when I was writing my notes on this, so if I...
That's all right.
Yeah.
No, most people won't have the book. I know a lot of people have the book, but I didn't know about this extra scene. I can see why it was cut. They definitely just mention it. They just mention it in the editing room, so it's pretty much.
Anyway, there's more cut stuff to come, so I will pitch in when there's cut things.
Well, Mike is having a coffee catch up with Jeffrey, his friend Jeffrey Salter, the weatherman. Just to reiterate, he is the weatherman and he has a name, Jeffrey Salter. He's explaining that he is and isn't in charge of the office.
Are you in charge? Oh, no, not really. Well, I can tell you.
Oh, you want me to keep this a secret?
Not really,
no, because I won't tell us all.
Tell whoever you want. Tell whoever you want.
Oh, okay.
Cavill asked me upstairs.
Cavill?
Yeah. Wow. And he just asked me to help out. Well, I'm doing the best I can. Emma's in there, but she's out of her depth.
Oh, yeah.
And I just feel like the whole office is resting on my shoulders.
Oh, you must be flat out.
Oh, absolutely.
You want another coffee?
Oh, that'd be nice.
And in the studio to film the promo, Jan is trying to convince Brooke that she is but isn't touching hands with the weatherman because Brooke just flat out refuses.
It'll just appear that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the poor Jeff, like in the scene before, he was innocently thinking he was still going to be physically high-fiving her, so...
That's sad. So, yeah, in this scene, there's a couple of cut lines at the end of it. Brooke's complaining about shaking hands with the weatherman, and Jan says, Brooke, it's him or Wacko the Chook. And Brooke says, I'll take the weatherman. And then they roll. And then you see Brooke swaying to the music. And then this is the cut line. And Jan says, and cut, darling, you'll have to smile. And Brooke says, I was. So clearly Brooke having trouble kind of feeling the character there in the One Big Family promo.
Yeah. And did anyone think this kind of reminded them of Elaine's dance in Seinfeld? It predates the actual Elaine dance, which I think was in 1996. Bit of an awkward kind of washing machine style.
Now, Emma helps Kate out with the exorcism story using her exec producer skills. So Shelley reads the contents as well on Brian's disc and discovers that she's been paid less than Kate. Awkward. And so the unravelling slowly begins. Meanwhile, Emma is called upstairs to Mr. Cavill's office where she learns Sunday Forum executive producer Ed Forbes, starring Andrew Clark, Skippy's Andrew Clark, the remake, the 90s remake of Skippy Andrew Clark, has been chosen to fill Brian's spot temporarily.
Ed here has kindly agreed to step in and keep an eye on Frontline until we get a permanent replacement.
As
EP.
executive producer.
Well, that's what it usually stands for, isn't it, Ed?
Oh, I've heard that it can also mean enormous penis.
Oh, God.
Very disgusting.
The look on like Emma's face there when this is all going on.
Yeah.
And there's a brilliant bit afterwards. I don't know if you've got the clip of this where he says to Emma, "Don't worry, I won't work you too hard," and then gives her this really patronizing knee squeeze and just like, oh God.
It's cringe at its best.
It's so pre-Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, that's...
And unfortunately was probably true at the time.
It was definitely like that.
Mike insists to Emma that Ed stepping in is really good for the show.
Oh, this will cheer you up. Ed told me this. What does EP stand for?
I don't know.
Well, what does it normally stand for? Executive producer, EP. Extra long penis. Oh, no, that's ELP. No, EP, extra penis. Enormous penis!
You can't even get that right.
When he finally yells out enormous penis, he basically emerges from the office door and shouts out to the entire office in the phrase enormous penis. And what I found quite interesting about that joke was that I guess post The Office and shows like that, where you get a lot of people saying something awkward and then an entire room reacting to that with just horror, and then you kind of get this pause in the show while they all react, right? That joke doesn't happen here because it's the 90s and no one's doing that kind of people reacting kind of comedy. Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting sort of joke of the era done in the style of the era sort of moment.
Like a prelude, because it's that joke and then as you're saying with office style awkward reactions, it's that joke evolved. We had to develop further.
Yeah, exactly. Because you could imagine like a kind of Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where Larry David just bursts out of an office and says enormous penis, and there's a context to him saying that, but the people in the office observing him just yelling enormous penis have no idea what context is, and suddenly he's up for sexual harassment, you know? So it's just interesting how comedy evolves, really, how jokes change and develop.
The other thing I like about that scene is Emma bitterly saying, according to the script, talking about Sunday Forum, and that it's a 2-hour unwatched wank with a bit of classical music tacked on the end to make it look highbrow.
Yeah. Well, that's what you need the enormous penis for, isn't it? Yeah. That and what I really like about the Ed character is he looks like Maxie Walker.
Oh, he does, doesn't he?
He does. He's got the Maxie Walker kind of big moustache, kind of hairstyle, highbrow Max Walker.
Fast forward to a prep meeting and Ed lifts his contributions directly from the newspaper while the team have already been developing their own stories, like the exorcism and the kid in Cambodia. Just like, I'm the exec producer.
Yeah, he's got a copy of The Age and they've presumably got the Herald Sun. And he's reading out stuff from like the middle of The Age, like, there's a Russian conductor coming to Melbourne. Let's do a profile piece on him, or let's do a piece on electricity privatisation, which I'm sure would have been very good for Sunday Forum, but not really for Frontline. And they're like, we've got an exorcist, we've got a missing kid in Cambodia. And it's just him not understanding that this is tabloid current affairs rather than, Sunday morning highbrow current affairs.
The topics that Ed brings up are very ABC, don't you think?
Yes, that as well. ABC that would work for. 7:30 report would
yes,
go for it.
yes.
Yeah. Not Frontline.
Down in the editing suite, the footage from Marty's story, the one that was cut.
The dodgy lawyer story.
The dodgy lawyer story, yeah. Is barely usable due to no audio from Marty, who is running far behind from Stu. Now, Ed suggests to turf it. Emma rescues the story to get Marty to record his audio in the office. See, this is the start of Ed just giving up.
And Emma shows a lot of ingenuity.
Yeah. It's like, all right, fair enough. Let it be.
Although, mind you, I may not know much about professional sound recording, but wouldn't it be better, just from a sound point of view, to record the extra audio out in the car park rather than inside in an office?
Yeah, you think about the admin, you'd have to take all the phones off the hook so that they don't suddenly ring. You'd have to stop photocopiers or printers going off.
But also just the sound echoing off the walls of the office it'd make for a different sound than being out in the open in a car park.
Yeah.
It's just I know it's a weird thing to have a gripe about, but
I suppose if you yeah, it is massively pedantry.
There's no right answer to this one, I suppose, but
Daniel,
I'm thinking from a sound point of view, you would do it out in the open. Outdoors.
Yeah. But then you miss the opportunity to see them running around the office, dodging like office chairs and stuff. So it's for the comedy value.
Yeah, it's just for our
artistic
benefit.
license. Yeah.
They could have gone out to the car park and ran around Brian's nameplate in a circle, just as a homage.
See, they could have moved the nameplate scene to later in the day so that while they're running around going, Mr. Scarletti, there could be the bloke in the background just chipping off the nameplate.
Yeah. Now, also, just a quick side note, though, what do you think about the ethics of this? Like, if you were to have found out that, the audio was replaced in the final story, would you be offended by that?
There have been scandals about that. I can't remember specifically what the stories are, but where I think the BBC did this once. They had to sort of fake something. I think in this particular example, they're basically just re-recording what he was saying when he was actually on the street chasing the lawyer. He's just saying, Mr. Scarletti, why won't you talk to us? Which is basically what he said in that cut scene that we read out. So I'm not that bothered about that because it's just kind of improving the sound quality.
Yeah, I think that's probably excusable.
Daniel.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's a big breach of ethics to do it either. It seems it's like the media version of Little Lie.
Yeah, it's not like some of the other examples we saw in season 1 where they're just completely twisting what people say and asking completely different questions and putting words in people's mouths.
It's just a slight tweak rather than a massive twist.
Yeah. In Frontline terms, this is like nothing. This is just what they do every day.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
Just to let you know, in regards to the tweaking, you do realise that Bruce Gingel's "Good evening and welcome to television."
Yes, I know.
Yeah, there we go. See, that's.
I know that's a recreation. I know. Although, mind you, we know that we know.
Yeah.
I don't know how we would cope if we were only finding that out now, for instance. 60 plus years after the event.
I only found it out relatively recently, and I think the reason for that is whenever that clip is shown, it's not shown with anyone saying, oh, by the way, this is a recreation. It's shown as if this is the actual footage.
Yeah.
So people might have known about this for decades, but I only found out relatively recently what it really is.
Oh, and Daniel, if you watch the latest Gladiators, then, where's the audience?
Do I have to?
The audience, the crowd. There was no
Apparently
crowd.
That was another thing that everybody noticed when the very few people were watching the Australian reboot of Gladiators. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's if you've not seen it, Alison, when they were filming or with the episode of Gladiators or all of the whole series, there was no audience at all. But then when the game started, you'll hear all the cheers.
Time for another
there we go.
Mason Hellcat conspiracy theory about something.
I'm sure he's right onto it.
In the kitchen, though, Ed flirts a little bit with Brooke.
How's the promo coming along?
Good.
You really do look great on camera.
Thank you.
You should be hosting this show, you know.
Thanks, but I think Mike's pretty entrenched here.
Oh, I don't know. If you ever feel like jumping ship and coming across to Sunday Forum, you give me a call.
Sure.
In the meantime, I've got a few ideas I wouldn't mind running past you.
Okay.
How does tonight sound?
Good.
Good.
Great.
Great.
Oh, he's such a sleazy
yuck.
bastard, isn't he? I mean, you know, she kind of goes for it, and I don't know. We could debate that if you want, but he is so sleazy.
Yeah, she would just go with him just for her own advancing of her own career, I think.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, there is talking about program ideas, and then there's talking about program ideas over dinner at a fancy restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Now we cut to the show broadcast, and Marty's story with the doctored audio goes to, sorry, not doctored, the re-recorded audio goes to air, and it's seamless. So they receive praise in the control room on the phone from Mr. Cavill for a good show overall.
It's a well done to everyone.
Meanwhile, Emma is at home relaxing and then hears on the radio that a kid from Cambodia has been killed. So Emma organises Marty, Stu and Jace to go to the mother's home first thing in the morning. See, this is Emma just not switching off, just constantly working.
Doing her job.
Yeah, doing her job as an executive producer. But when they get there, that is Marty, Stu and Jace, there's already a media circus at the house with little room for them to set up or try and film or record anything. They're just vultures, all of them. As in the media circus, not Marty, Stu and Jace. Now it's promo time, and Mike is ready for his filming. Ed arrives at the office after a late night out. Quite late night out, with Brooke looking very ashamed at her desk, discreetly ashamed.
I don't know that she is ashamed. I think she probably feels a bit sordid, but I think probably strategically she feels she's done the correct thing.
Yeah.
For her career.
And Shelley ends up having a go at Kate, and the exorcism lady has been poached by Channel 9 as she wants to meet Ray. But Emma hasn't. So Emma hasn't.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. But Emma has another idea to somewhat steal her away.
Hello, Mrs. Rosen. It's Sandra here from A Current Affair. Sandy, that's right. Yes, we did speak just before. Listen, a slight change of plans. Would it be all right if we came and picked you up and did the interview? Actually, it was Ray's suggestion.
A white lie doesn't
Again,
hurt.
this is Emma being the EP without an EP.
And Mike is chatting to Shelley to find out why she's being a bit narky, Mike's words, towards Kate, which she explains to Mike it's about the pay difference. And that's when Mike finds out that he's being paid less than Brooke.
Ouch. Can we just dial back slightly? There's a scene that I wanted to talk about. And this is Mike and Emma talking about the promo before they start phoning the exorcist, right? And Mike's talking about how, you know, he wants to sing in the promo because there's this bit that goes from the frontline desk each evening, and he wants to sing it. And Emma goes, "You're not singing it," right? And then, you know, Mike has a go at Emma just because the show's not falling apart like you expected it would. And, you know, and he says, well, I think Ed's doing a pretty good job. And then Emma goes, he's not the only one, as, you know, referring to her own efforts. And then they really start shouting at each other. And Mike goes, settle down. No wonder they pick blokes to run things. And I'm just like, oh, God. You know, this whole show, there's so much stuff about, like, basically the misogyny in the industry throughout this episode. It's really, really quite interesting on that topic, I think.
No, there's no more comment.
Excellent.
Because there's not much else to say. It illustrates it beautifully, and that's it.
Yep.
Nailed it on the head.
I might just add that it's kind of refreshing that Brooke is getting paid more than Mike.
That is the one thing, isn't
that's a
it?
good
That's
twist.
quite interesting. Yeah.
Like, I mean, certainly not the done thing then you would think.
No, you would assume the host would get more, and I kind of, it's a kind of a slight shame they don't dig into why that is.
Because she's better than him. I don't know.
Well, that's true. Maybe she's got a better agent. I don't know, because like he was just some guy from the Perth 7:30 report, wasn't he? And yeah, maybe they just thought they could pay him more because that would be more than the Perth 7:30 report paid.
Yeah.
I don't know. Send in your theories, people.
Emma and Kate meet the exorcism lady, Mrs. Rosa, in the meeting room. And here's a dovetail for you. Did you notice anything that was on the wall?
There was some sort of an on-air personality, as Jan would call it, but I couldn't work out who.
Well, there was a few other frame shots on the wall of other TV shows, but straight up, ABC, there was an image of the big gig, the stage.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
And what looked like the shape or the distance of just the look, I should say, with the hairstyle, because I watched this on high definition TV. It was, I believe, Wendy Harmer.
Right, well, that kind of that would tell you at least where that corridor was.
So there you go, just a little Easter egg.
Part of the ABC Ripley complex, not there anymore, obviously.
Now, Mikey's filming the promo with lackluster effort, like really lackluster effort.
This is not the Mike Moore. I know. What's the matter?
don't get me
Papa?
started. It's
Listen
just
to
office
me,
politics,
Mike.
yeah.
You are the star of this program.
know,
The
thank-
first face
I
we
know,
see.
I know.
The face of the network. The 10-second version, darling. You are in it.
I know, that's great.
And it's a great line.
I know.
Much better than Brooke's lines.
Lines? Zzz, plural. Brooke's got more than one line.
No, just one line, but it's longer, shorter. No, let's go, everyone. Thanks.
Marty and Stu go through the footage of being at the house of the kid in Cambodia, of the mother, but it's all reporters, and Brooke puts in her 2 cents worth.
What about other members of the family?
The sister's out of town. There's no other kids. For Christ's sake, Stu climbed over the back fence with a camera.
Have you tried phoning?
Oh, no, Brooke. That never occurred to us. Now, we've been on the phone since 6 a.m. She's not talking.
Well, maybe if you keep trying with the
Oh,
mobile
please,
phone.
Brooke, listen. We were there at dawn. I didn't see you volunteering.
I've been flat out, Marty.
Oh, yes, I've heard.
What is that supposed to mean?
Oh, nothing, just doing your job, working under Ed.
Bam.
Mike interviews Mrs. Rosen.
That was fine, Mrs. Rosen. Well done. It's fine. It's okay.
Oh, what a pity Ray couldn't.
Ray.
Thanks for coming in,
Ray
Mrs.
who?
Rosen. We'll get you a cab. Actually, Kate, why don't you show her around the station? Maybe introduce her to a few of the stars.
Who's Ray?
I'd like to meet people from Sail of the Century.
The white lie just keeps going further and further.
Although the thing is, when we finally see this promo, the sort of equivalent of Sale of the Century at this network, they do kind of look like Glenn Ridge and Nikki Buckley. So I suppose Mrs. Rosen probably won't notice.
Yeah. Ed arrives late to stick his nose in as well, too. So Channel 9's promo shows that they got hold of the mother of the kid in Cambodia who passed away. And Ed says that Channel 9 won and to cop it on the chin. There we go. That's where he's just like, yeah, give up.
Yeah, I don't think he ever had any effort whatsoever. At the moment he sat down with the newspaper, pretended to kind of care and just let them kind of make the decisions.
No, he just wanted to find a gym and a yogurt and a cafe latte.
And you can fill in the blanks.
Yes. But Emma ends up putting a spin on it and make a story about the shark feeding media.
I've got an idea.
Yeah?
That's the story.
What?
That, the media, the frenzy, the feeding frenzy.
Sharks. Preying on a poor, hapless, grieving mother.
Oh, thank God we weren't a part of it.
Thank God we were there to capture it, though.
And then the story unravels with that too.
I just want to ask something about the Nicholas Martin piece that we see. That photo of Nicholas, I haven't really had a good look anywhere, but do you reckon that's a young Rob Sitch?
It didn't strike me as looking like Rob Sitch, but I assumed it was like a holiday snap of one of their friends or a brother or something.
The only reason I asked is because it reminds me of there's something in one of the DGen best of specials that got released on video and DVD. It was a takeoff of Mad Max.
Oh yeah,
that they did on. I think they did it on Super 8.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering whether that might have been whether the photo of Nicholas Martin used might have been from that.
I'm gonna have to go back to
It's
the
like
tape.
I unfortunately ran out of time to try and scan through everything and try and see whether there's a match or anything. But did you notice?
The clothing does look kind of 90s though, so rather than 80s.
It is a leather jacket, so
yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's Rob Sitch's brother on holiday in Cambodia or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't really strike me as Rob.
Sorry for the...
It looks like, what's his name? That British actor. Don't worry.
You might need to give us a few more clues.
The guy with the eyes,
Hugh
nose,
Grant.
No. Don't worry.
Tim Spall. I'm just going to start naming
the
British
one with a
actors.
really long name.
Mr. Blobby.
That's it, yeah.
See, Benedict Cumberbatch would have been about 5 in 1995.
Yeah, he would have been about 5, but I reckon it looks like him.
A long name. Wow. You mean
It's been a long evening. It's been a long day.
All right. Sorry for that dead end then.
It's just probably someone's holiday snap, right? So.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm reading too much into it. This is what this podcast does to you.
Now, we're in the control room after a really successful show, and they get a phone call from Mr. Cavill giving praise for the show yet again. And but then again, Ed takes that phone call, thanks Emma for making him look good, and then he reveals that because of the good news, he knows that the executive producer has been decided upon, and Emma should look forward to his arrival. Ouch. Yeah.
Yeah, because Emma, has been really wanting it to be her. And I guess it was inevitable that it wouldn't be.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly from a story point of view, we know that she's never going to be EP because she has too much of a conscience.
Yes.
Although she seems to have dropped it over the past week on the show.
Yeah, with
because
that phone
that's
call
the
she
executive
made.
producer role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know she's got a heart of gold, and it would totally ruin Frontline if she were to become another Brian.
Back in the office, Emma ignores the flowers that Ed has gifted her.
Are we going to see this promo or not? Hello?
Emma.
Jan?
Here she is. Em. They're from Ed.
To you. It really is an enormous penis. Don't bet on it.
Zing! We finally see the big promo.
From the front,
One big thing.
to the thrill of jackpots. We'll take you to all the great places. For fun, we've got the lots.
And you get the idea of one big family, which sounds very similar to a particular well-known song.
Yes,
but musically
just enough so
different.
that Sister Sledge won't sue.
Yes.
Yes.
And that
Musically
French
slightly
cooking show
different.
called Ooh La La.
Oh, Ooh La La, yep.
Yeah,
And
it's amazing all of these shows that are sort of brought into the universe, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how much the newsreader from this network looks like Brian Naylor, for example, the Melbourne newsreader. And
It says that it's literally in the script.
Yeah, yeah. And then you've got like all their other shows. They've got Ball to Ball, which is a kind of footy show with a sort of Maxie Walker type, not Ed, a different person, a different guy with a moustache. The comedy bunch is the one that I'm particularly interested in. That really is suggesting that this is quite a lowbrow sketch show, like even lower brow than Full Frontal ever was.
Did you see the brown face?
Yes, wasn't that a moment of the era?
Yep.
Just like the moment, which we didn't mention it earlier, when they're in the editing suite and Ed and the cigarettes.
Yeah, drops that gag.
Yeah. Very dated. But so they do watch that promo. And here's one thing. I don't know if anyone else took notice of it, but I timed exactly how many seconds each of the talent appeared in the promo of One Big Family.
So who got the most?
Yes.
Who got the most?
Yeah, hold on. It is 100%.
Is it Salter? My money's on Jeffrey Salter getting the most airtime.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
So you got Mike, Brooke, and Jeffrey. What do you want to go first?
Are we guessing seconds or who got the most footage?
This is all in seconds, okay? So we'll go with Mike. What do you think, Alison? So like when you put all their scenes, like say with Mike's appearances in it, you put them together.
Yep.
So
10.
10, Kim?
6.1.
6.1, okay, 0.1. Yeah, Daniel?
Yeah, I reckon 6.5.
Okay, the closest was Alison, and Mikey's in it for 9 seconds.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Right. Now it's Brooke. Alison?
12.
Kim?
I think 8.
Daniel?
I reckon 14 because she's got 2 lines.
The correct answer is 15 seconds.
Wow.
Daniel's the closest.
Wow.
15 seconds.
That's a lot of seconds.
So basically double what Mike gets.
Yeah, nearly.
Wow.
And now Jeffrey. So
Maybe the amount of time you appear in the promo is dependent on your salary.
Well, this is the implication, isn't it?
Well,
she gets
wait
paid
till you
almost
hear-
double him.
wait till you hear Jeffrey's. So Alison,
Okay, 5 seconds. 5 seconds for Jeffrey.
Kim.
2.
What? So you reckon it's just 2 seconds of him
I
doing
forgot
his
there
head
is a
wobble?
bit at the end, isn't there?
Yeah.
3 then.
He's
3
like
seconds.
half a double take type
Well, there was
thing.
like there was a bit at the end where he kind of does that Santo thing. But 3.5, 4 seconds. 4 seconds.
And Daniel?
I reckon 4.5.
Well, it is 7 seconds.
Oh.
Almost as
nowhere
much as
near for me.
Mike.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
So Mike 9 seconds, Brooke 15 seconds, Jeffrey 7 seconds. That's what this podcast is all about. Now, as we wrap up the whole promo part, an argument breaks out after Mike points out that Brooke got more screen time, and he is correct.
Yes.
And, doesn't the language fly?
Now also, yeah, well, there's one F-bomb muted out there.
Brooke drops the F-bomb.
What?
It is 2 lines. Brooke has 2 lines.
What are you
You
talking
have 2
about?
lines and Jan told
Yeah,
me
well, I
there
had to
wasn't.
shake hands with the f***ing weatherman.
Excuse me, his name is Jeffrey Salter, you shit.
Oh, that is
No.
Also, just before we do truly wrap things up, do you want to hear a bit about the promos that the real life channels had in 1995?
Oh,
Yep.
go on.
Yes,
Go
please.
on.
To be fair, I wasn't able to find them on YouTube. I'm relying on the Sydney Morning Herald Guide from the 30th of January, 95. Gather all of your big personalities. Usually they would be in the same room. It wouldn't be like one big family. And sort of like essentially you would sort of dazzle the potential viewer with your star power. But yeah, these days we don't, I think it's just a symptom of we don't really have network stars anymore. We don't have anybody that's contracted to a channel. So, I mean, we do still get, and you would have seen it a lot during the tennis, you would have seen a big promo outlining all of the big shows that are coming up for the next 13 weeks or so. But even that, I mean, that's a montage at best. You wouldn't put it in the same league as the early 90s stuff.
I'm happy to be corrected on it, but the last one that I can think of, like I'm sure there's been more since, but like the personality ones, Channel 10, and that was when they had Talking About Your Generation on their MasterChef. Like MasterChef was in its like second or third season. Good News Week was on there because they had that one where they're all in that the therapy session with Sean McAuliffe, Carrie Bickmore, Margot Robbie, Paul McDermott, Mikey Robbins, and
That's a weird one.
Yeah, it's actually one of the most clever.
It's essentially a sketch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a sketch, and Bondi Rescue, and So You Think Condensed. There we go. That kind of ages it, but it's actually a really good bit, and I think that was pretty much the last time there was something of like arcing back to the period of the high profile promos. That this was that's it. This is it. After that, they just didn't bother.
It really seemed to die out sometime in the 2000s, I reckon.
Other than the we're all in this together type COVID stuff.
Well, I mean, with that one, there was definite isolation there.
Christmas ones don't count, okay? Christmas ones don't count.
Oh, that does remind me of a Christmas promo, which I am kind of reminded with One Big Family, where it was network personalities putting things into a present box and sort of passing it from one side of the screen to another.
Oh, yes.
And obviously that one would have had to have been shot in bits.
That was a Channel 9 one, I
Very
think.
similar concept. I think so, yeah.
I do remember it being passed across the Hey Hey Saturday desk.
So I do have an example of the promo format if you just want to play the appropriate clip.
We're still number 4. We're still number 4. Watching our ratings going through the floor. We're the station you just have to ignore. We're still number 4.
God, is that ABC in the 90s or is that Channel 10 now?
Well, King number 4 is actually quite good if you've got 8 Galaxy channels in competition with you.
So I've got a little table that the SMH Guide published in January 95 talking about each network's slogan. So the ABC had It's Your ABC.
Still does, doesn't it? Pretty much.
It's your
Pretty
ABC.
much, yeah. Target market, everyone except those who can't stand dance music, but the gay and lesbian Mardi Gras telecast probably got rid of them last year. Celebrity exploitation factor, medium but not all grin straight down the barrel of the lens in a warm and winning way, although any promo that finishes with the freeze on Gary Sweet is thinking star appeal. Something strange. The producers did not have enough material available from 95 shows, so decided they had to fill in the gaps with a visual interest. Then we've got Channel 7. They had Discover It All on 7. Target market, anyone who has eyes, according to the network program director. Celebrity exploitation factor, moderately high, with a handful of 7 stars doing the 5 and 2 signs. Dieter Brummer gets the big wind-up shot. Something strange, watch out for 7's new station IDs, a collection of bizarre and apparently meaningless things being done to the 7 logo, such as a flying 3D jelly.
Right.
Channel 9, I'm sure you can guess what it is, still the one, and they've been telling us since 1979. Inspired by CBS, produced in-house. Target market from 6 to 60 to anyone who can stand the idea that Larry Emdure is just like them. Celebrity exploitation factor, burnout level. These personalities don't just work for the station, they are the station. Something strange. It made a good send-up on Full Frontal with Yarn Event drawling, I am embarrassed. Yet 9 says its stars were more than happy to reveal their juggling skills, dogs, and cooking abilities. Channel 10 had Give Me 10, a wholly Australian concept despite the American catchphrase and programs. Target market, young, and not to mention the young. Celebrity exploitation factor, zilch. 10 is going with sly visual gags instead. NYPD Blue on a sea of blue pigs. Something strange, the logo now appears in real-life situations instead of animation to reflect just how real the station is, man.
I like the one that they used later on, which was the Turn Me On 10. That was my favourite.
Turn me
on. Nice little jingle and everything. Thank you, Alison.
imprinted into my brain anytime.
Yeah.
And last of all, SBS, The World is an Amazing Place. It was created by BAMSSB Advertising. Target market, people who are already sophisticated, artistic, and interesting enough to watch SBS anyway. Celebrity exploitation factor, 0. Some might say, what celebrities? Something strange. In cinemas, amuse yourself by listening to everyone around trying to figure out just what the hell this ad is for. Cars? Hi-fi? Travel? Drugs?
Right. So Li Ling Chin is not good enough, or
Yeah, where's Anton Enos? Is he involved?
or Mary Costa.
Or Les Murray. Les Murray would get a go.
Yeah, Les Murray.
Yeah.
Kicking a ball.
Varley.
So, yeah, I would say amongst that lot, One Big Family is definitely of the period. Although there's another promo which aired last year which made me think about One Big Family a bit more, and that was from 2023 advertising The Project.
I've worked in newsrooms for 20 years, but what surprises me the most is what comes out of their mouths.
Sometimes I like to let the music do the talking.
I don't mind having a friendly chat with my audience.
Let's talk more jokes.
Out here, there's not so much need for talking. I like just floating around with my thoughts.
Nothing beats that moment when we all cheer together.
Gotta love escaping real life. To hold council with some elves.
Then there's work, where we love getting together to discuss the big stories.
Hear different points of view.
And figure out what the politicians are saying and what they're not saying. Oh, Troy. Okay, Greg.
This is where we go behind the headlines.
Hang out with the big names.
And turn seriously to another camera. And back again.
Join the conversation here at The Project.
Holy crap.
The Project, One Big Family.
You know what? If there was a little less conversation about news and celebrities and a bit more talk about seatbelts, I think that was the Qantas safety video.
Yes.
Because the Qantas safety video has that kind of chummy kind of theme to it, cutting to different people and... Yeah, I've seen that video a lot recently.
Oh, yeah, because you've been travelling during the break.
I have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm slightly disappointed about with that One Big Family promo is you see how they shoot it, and you've got the sort of floor manager is the one who stands in for the hand of the other celebrities, right?
Yeah.
But you never see anything in the promo where the sleeve is the wrong colour or, you know, the skin colour's completely different of the hand or whatever. You know, they could have done a bit of comedy where there's a black hand coming in and it's actually a white person or whatever.
A bit of Russell Coit style.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. Coit style comedy there.
Charlie
Here we
the Wonder
go.
Dog.
It was very...
Yeah, or it's Charlie the Wonder Dog's hand. Yeah.
It was very... I'm going to be accused of being woke here. It was very Anglo-Saxon, wasn't it?
Well, I guess that you couldn't do the black thing because everyone's white in this.
Yeah.
So, but it was the 90s. There were no black people on television apart from Ernie Dingo would occasionally turn up.
Well, we do have a few more seconds of the episode left. So, because after the promo is played, an argument breaks out after Mike points out Brooke got more screen time with the swearing and everything else. And then now it's Shelley versus Kate versus M, and then it's Dom versus M, and then everyone turns around when someone arrives.
Sorry, can I help you?
I'm Sam Murphy, your new executive producer.
Hi. Welcome to our family.
Love it.
Perfect introduction.
Yes.
Good ending.
Yeah, the episode was dedicated to Bruno Lawrence.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now that concludes Frontline Season 2, Episode 1, and the Champagne Comedy Podcast, Episode 54. Hooray, we made it! Yeah. Now you can...
yeah, we're back into the swing of things.
Yeah, rusty as all hell, but we got there. So feel free, trust me, there's a lot of stuff that you won't hear that I've edited out. And so you can reach out to us, email champagnelateshow@gmail.com, and then check the episode show notes for all our socials because they constantly change. And also Facebook, search Champagne Comedy Podcast Group. Buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/TLS Champagne Pod. And thank you, as always, to Alison, Daniel, and Kim for turning up, as well as you, the listener. So,
Thank
Matt. Thanks for listening. Catch you next episode.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Champagne Comedy Podcast, created by fans for the fans. For more information on this podcast, please visit champagnecomedy.com. Produced by Matt Fulton Productions, mattfulton.com.au.
Seriously, do you want to listen to the Sale of the Century rap?
No.
Oh, go on.
Oh, all right. Hold on.
Who am I? Who am I? Sail of the century. All right, well, let's go for it. We have 3 new challenges. Time to welcome our carryover champ back. And our carryover champ is...
The challenges come from all over the land. Just a party with Glenn. He's our main man.
$20 starting money. Good luck.
And if the question's hard, we hope you don't get stuck. Some contestants think the answers are a breeze until Glenn says sorry.
More information, please.
And when the score is tied, we have a tiebreaker. And standing by is our official adjudicator.
Hey, what a great game. Here we go.
Yo, we got fast money, a wham bam pow.
30 seconds on the clock and your time starts now.
Everybody's psyched up, starting to rock. Then suddenly it's over to Glenn.
Stop the clock. Stop the clock.
Round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4 now.
Who would you like from the Fame Game board?
There's faces of celebrity and sport and identity. We've got cash car, wild car, winning car, and car.
Which of our famous faces would you like? Let's play cash card.
Everybody's favorite game.
It's a close game.
Winners and losers, prizes for viewers. Yeah.
Let's go shopping. Here's Nikki in the gift shop.
Oh, now let's go shopping.
Here's Nikki in the gift shop.
Yeah.
Normally $2,750, but tonight, just $10.
Here's tonight's cash jackpot. Will you risk the car and all the prizes? I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it. What a great champion. Will we see you again tomorrow night? Hey, what a great game. Take care, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Enormous penis.